From the headwaters in the mountains to the swamps of the Watery River, the Catawba Watery River Basin brings life to the 26 counties of North and South Carolina that it flows through.
The growth of it and what you guys are doing nowadays is just a great relief.
If you want to impact water quality, you really need to look at it from the whole basin. So you can't just look at it from an individual lake perspective, an individual city perspective. You need to look at the entire watershed.
So when you get up and you get that glass of water, you hop in the shower, you don't really think about where the water's coming from. So especially with the area we're in and the growth and the people moving here, it's taking care of, that resource.
The challenges are not going to go away. They continue to need to be addressed and advocated for, and pollution never sleeps.
To see a next generation enjoy the outdoors and environmental science and other kinds of things really is very important. So I think that we are on a pathway to educating a whole lot of people.
There is no other organization or type of group that is going to be more hands-on and take more direct action than a Riverkeeper organization. And that's been true since 1997, day one. Everyone who started this organization and the legacy that Donald Lisenby set, there's no other work that happens quite like this.
The most meaningful thing, I think, is the fact that this organization looks at the entire basin, the entire watershed. The only other entity that does that is Duke Energy. Everything else is piecemeal, political jurisdiction, interest-based group, and this organization, with one employee starting, and now I don't know how many you got, but a bunch, said, no, we're gonna look at the entire basin because you can't protect a river unless you recognize it as a system.
The Catawba River has humble beginnings in the mountains of North Carolina, just outside of Black Mountain, where it's a small creek that gains strength and size as it flows out of the mountains of western North Carolina, heading east to the Piedmont.
I'm Ron Bryant. I was the founding chair of the Catawba River Foundation, which then hired the first Riverkeeper. That was about 30 years ago that we started. Wanted to have an organization that would continuously improve and restore the river to better health.
My name is Gene Daniels, and I've been involved with the Riverkeeper since before the Riverkeeper was known. The way I had learned about a Riverkeeper of the Neuse River and was very impressed. So I thought, we need a Riverkeeper, because I had contacts with Lake Wiley, and that's where I got started anyway.
The waters of the Linville River and the North Fork of the Catawba come together to form Lake James, the northernmost reservoir in the river basin. One of the most beautiful lakes in our region, and some of the purest water quality in the entire river basin. Lake James is the first opportunity for motorboat recreation, fishing, and enjoying our state's beautiful state parks.
Enters Lake James. I've caught some trout in the tail race at Lake James. So it's been a core part of who I am.
As the river leaves Lake James and travels through Lake Roadhus, Lake Hickory, and Lookout Shoals, it comes to Lake Norman, North Carolina's largest man-made lake, the most densely populated lakefront in our region, and one of the most popular recreational destinations in the Charlotte region.
So I cannot think of not living around water. I just love being around water. I feel water it's all those corny things, it's life. And it's not just corny, it's true. It's the basis for everything that we have and we do. And this organization has appointed itself as the protector, as the educator, as the researcher, in a way that no little city, county, town, or even state or federal agency can do, because it's local to this organization, it's personal to this organization, and it involves locals like myself to be a part of protecting this water.
Catawba River Keeper is important because it keeps our region healthy in so many different ways, but primarily having clean water.
Catawba River Keeper's early efforts were focused on protecting drinking water reservoirs on Lake Norman, Mountain Island Lake, and Lake Wiley. Mountain Island Lake representing the largest drinking water reservoir in the region, providing water for over 1 million people in Mecklenburg County.
Somebody's got to do something to make a difference. I mean, lots of people talk. I mean, we hear all these conferences and all these public service announcements and all these statements made about how important water is and how important clean water is. But that is not meaningful unless somebody does something to protect the resource and to eliminate the pollution that's going into it. And to do that, you have to understand the river system, understand the legal mechanisms, understand where this tributary is, where this wetland is, where this dam is. You got to know the system, and you got to be able and willing to act on your knowledge and not just talk about it. And that's what the river keepers do.
I think without question, the greatest accomplishment that I've been a part of, and it was really just seeing something across the finish line, which was the settlement on the coal ash cleanup, not only on our banks of our river here in the Catawba Basin, but across the entire state of North Carolina. That cleanup was almost 10 years in the making. It started with litigation on the Wateree River in South Carolina and led to the Mountain Island Lake cleanup, and now Allen Steam Station on Lake Wiley and Marshall Steam Station on Lake Norman. And Brandon Jones, our current river keeper, and I kind of took the last baton and took it across the finish line. But that was a really satisfying day to be able to share with our members and really the entire region and the entire state that the coal ash that's been sitting on the banks of our river, polluting our rivers for decades, is going to be cleaned up, and it's not something we're going to have to worry about ever again. And that was a really gratifying moment for me.
It's amazing that you've managed to stay a zealous advocate and stopped pissing people off. I'll say that, and stopped aggravating people, although I'm sure you still do. But the old folks that were the foes are now partners. They're now collaborators. And there's a regional recognition and a respect for this organization because it has always looked to be fair, objective, and scientific.
As Charlotte continues to grow, as large companies and organizations work here and will grow here, I want Riverkeeper to be an organization that works with them so we can, understand growth and prevent and protect our river as growth is occurring.
Every day when I came home from school, me and my friends would either fish, or if the weather was good, we would go out on the boat, the jet skis, and we just have fun. With any, body of water, it's not just about where you are. The water comes from somewhere and it goes somewhere. So you can't just have a view of, hey, I'm in Charlotte, or hey, I'm in Rock Hill. The water's flowing. And if we protect it at the top, we're gonna protect it at the bottom.
Well, you know what they say, everybody lives downstream from somebody else. And I think we are uniquely positioned for success in the path we're on today.
You learn that there is a finite lifetime to the river if we continue on the way we're going. And the Riverkeeper plays a major role in extending that, preserving the river and making the river better. Everything the Catawba Riverkeeper does is all about preserving our river as a resource. And the river is a major resource for this area. Most people don't realize how big a resource.
Right above the Catawba Nation, And we're in this beautiful, pristine water. There's fish swimming under our boats. You can see huge bass swimming under the boat. And you see Sugar Creek coming in from Charlotte and from Mecklenburg County. And all of a sudden, the water goes from crystal clear to chocolate milk. And there's trash and there's tires. And that was the moment that my resolve to do this work really changed. I wanted to do it, I was interested in it, but that day and that brutal long paddle, when we saw Sugar Creek come in, I knew that what we do is important and that it had to be done.
Well, I got involved in kind of an unusual way. As I passed a bridge one day, I noticed that signs were up, no fishing. And that was really the only place that local people in Fairfield County had to fish was on bridges. And an accident had occurred where a trailer dislodged and hit a fisherman. And it seemed as if the community blamed the fishermen rather than the fact that a trailer dislodged. And I thought that that was quite unfair, that the fishermen wouldn't have places to fish. And I became an advocate that day.
It's really important to have an overview of the whole river basin and to fight to keep the whole river basin clean and to help protect the downstream citizens.
For people who live on Lake Wateree in South Carolina, it is a recreational paradise. It is also an environmentally beautiful place. So people really want to have the natural scenery of the lake stay as it is.
Y'all are out there delivering the message about how clean and how important it is to keep the river clean, and you're trying to help folks do the right thing in that regard, and I just think that's hugely important. I can't imagine you not being here doing that. Otherwise, I think that our water supplies would be very seriously threatened.
The organization, its board, and its staff had courage. And I think courage, the courage of the board, courage of the organization, never any doubt it was going to pursue the best interests of the greater community and the river itself.
Thank you to the courageous leaders who have been preserving, protecting, and restoring this river for the past 25 years at Catawba River Keeper. How will you impact the next 25 years?